The cockroach that wrote music.
Stupid homework.
Benji tore the paper and crushed it. He took out a fresh piece of paper.
Music homework. What a nuisance.
He dipped the pen in a bottle of special black ink and prepared to start again. Too much ink. It formed a shining black ball, rolled along the nib, and plopped on the new page. Benji frowned. Miss Bell was sure to notice that. Never mind. Now, one of those curly things at the start of the 5 lines. Should it curl around the bottom line or the second from the bottom line? Second from bottom. Right. Benji thought of his friends at the beach as he stared at his homework. It seemed more boring than ever. Benji jumped. There was a quick scurrying movement across the top of his desk. Something small and black darted under the music book. He lifted it carefully.
Ugh!
Benji hated cockroaches.
Oh no!
The cockroach had run through the blob of ink on his homework. Spindly trails were left across the page. Ruined. He would have to start again now. He lifted the book higher, ready to crash it down on the pesky, dirty insect. The cockroach did not move. It sat there, twitching its long, slender feelers. Ink particles stuck to its hairy legs. Benji hesitated. The homework! Along with cockroach trails, there were dots on the lines. Benji couldn't remember getting that far. Surely he had only done the curly thing at the start. 3 flats, a bar line, B, D, D, and F? Impossible! He watched, his eyes bigger than saucers, with the book still held in the air. The cockroach walked to the blob of ink, gathered a small drop in its front legs, walked carefully over the homework page, and placed the ink neatly between the lines. Mouthed Benji, suddenly remembering the book and placing it gently on the carpet. He knelt down, his face close to the desktop. The cockroach worked on.
I must have eaten too many peanut butter sandwiches when I got home from school.
Benji rubbed his eyes. Cockroach had finished the first line. Evidently pleased with himself, he stepped back to survey his work. Benji couldn't move. There it was. A disgusting, dirty, creepy-crawly insect. It had written a line of music. Could Benji be sure that he wasn't dreaming? Cockroach moved towards the blob of ink. His front legs busily tried to gather another droplet, but by now the ink had soaked into the paper. He scampered backward and forward over the homework page, but there were no more spilt drops of ink left to use. Finally, he sat back with his head raised and moved his feelers questioningly. Then Benji gently lifted the pen, dipped it in the bottle, and placed it upside down on the homework page. Immediately, Cockroach ran towards the nib and set about gathering a droplet. Without even a thank you, he walked towards the second line and continued working. Benji got up and walked into the kitchen, wondering if he was in some sort of a strange movie. He picked a piece out of a fruitcake and broke off a corner of a biscuit. He went to the drawer where the matches were kept and emptied a full box into a corner of it. When he returned, Cockroach had almost used up the ink from the nib. Benji placed cake crumbs on one corner of the homework page and biscuit crumbs on the other. The empty matchbox was lowered onto the desk. Yes, after all the heavy work, Cockroach was ready for a snack. He inspected the cake and then the biscuit, and after a few seconds of feeler twitching, decided on the cake. The empty matchbox was treated with suspicion at first. As soon as Cockroach climbed into it, the cardboard moved slightly. That sent Cockroach scurrying to the corner from where he nervously regarded his new home. Benji wondered if he should have lined the matchbox with a piece of tissue. Bravely, Cockroach moved forward again and climbed right into his new home. After a few inspection turns, he appeared to be satisfied and settled down to an afternoon nap. Benji sank back on his bed and let out a sigh. There it was, cockroach music, a bit untidy, but nevertheless original cockroach creation. The next thing was to show the musical piece to Mum. Benji was sure she would be pleased with the amazing music Cockroach had written.